Hello, I'm Anea, and this is my first YouTube video, but I had to come and talk to you all about something that I think is very important, and that is the menstrual cycle. And hopefully, this can be a quick video. I really just want to tell you the things that I did to improve the way that my cycle went, and hopefully, you're able to get something out of this, whether you're somebody who's experiencing similar problems or if you know someone and you want to help them. Disclaimer before I get started, none of these things were things that I did to actually ease my cycle. They're just things that I just happened to do over the past 2 months. And I think that along the way, they positively impacted my cycle experience. And if you are a woman, you may or may not know the importance of learning to embrace and honor your cycle, despite the negative stigma towards it. So I'm definitely on the track to doing that, but it is not easy. But I think having a less painful experience does definitely help. So, first, I'll tell you about what the cycle is usually like for me. Then I'll talk to you about how it was this last time around. And then I'll tell you what I've done over the past 2 months that may or may not have impacted my cycle. So I'll try to do this in a nutshell. But over the past, I would say, 5 to 7 years, getting my cycle was just hell. So the first 5 to 7 days before the blood came were accompanied with, really bad cramps, PMS, and just, anticipation for the worst. So the cramps would start probably like right at 5 to 6 days before my period would come. And it was pretty consistent through those 5 days, accompanied with PMS. So I would have times when I was at work and somebody would say something to me that probably on a normal day wouldn't kind of send me over the edge. But during that 5 day period, especially towards like the sixth day, it would just send me just kind of, I don't know, very emotional. So I'd be crying, I'd be calling up friends, family members to tell them about what happened. People would console me and tell me it's not that bad, but I was just super emotional. And then growing up, I actually would get into arguments with my mother or my sisters during this time, but I didn't know what PMS was back then. So I just kind of got, I don't know, maybe a reputation with my mother that I was just, argumentative. And it was pretty consistent. So every month we'd have like a really bad argument. So now, thanks to the internet and knowing other women who experience similar things, I know that it's not just me. It is a particular period of time where my hormones are just going crazy. So yeah, PMS, cramps, and then very heavy bleeding, at least for 2 days out of the cycle. So that would be either the very first 2 days, or the first day would be kind of like a medium flow, and then the second day and the third day would be very heavy. And when I say very heavy, I'm talking about going through a heavy absorbency pad every 2 hours, like having to constantly change over and over to the point where you're like, why don't I just like spend the next 2 days in the bathroom or in the tub? Something. Just, to not go through that. So I've been going through that for several years. So the last 2 to 3 days of my cycle are not that bad. Medium to light flow, nothing compared to what led up to the period or that first 2 to 3 days. Let's see, anything else? And I think I may have mentioned that it came consistently about every 24 to 25 days. So it was a very short time for which I did not have either bleeding or the PMS and the cramps. And I also mentioned that during the first 2 days where I'm experiencing that very heavy flow, I also am almost like doubled over in pain to the point where there were some times where I actually called out of work, and I know that's a similar experience that a lot of other women have as well. So I want to let you know that that is not normal. I used to go to the doctor about it, and I didn't get a lot of options. So the number one thing that I was told was go on birth control. Let's get your hormones situated and get you on this plan to, either not have a period for several months or however that works. I don't know because I never did it. I also did not take over-the-counter pain relievers. I started to way back when, but I realized it was just kind of hopeless and came off of that track. So I've just been dealing with this. I would ask my friend for like heating packs, whatever it took to like get rid of the pain without interfering with, my biology. So over the past 2 months, I kind of changed things a little bit. And the result was this last cycle, it didn't come until the 27th day. So not a lot of difference between the 24 to 25 days, but to me, that meant a lot. And I actually didn't know it was even coming. So like I said, a week before my cycle starts, usually I get this like really bad pain, and I also have really bad PMS. This time around, nothing until it actually started. So once it actually started, I think the night before, I was feeling a little bit nauseous, but it was just that one period of time. And then in the morning, I had it, and it was like, surprise. Usually the first day it looks like old blood. So it's like brown and it's like kind of dry. But this time it was like for a little, maybe like an hour or so, it was like that old type of looking stuff. And then it was fresh on the first day. Usually it doesn't happen until the second day where it starts to look a little bit fresher and newer. But this time around, it was like during the first day. Another difference is the first 2 days were maybe like a medium flow. And I was just waiting, like, when is it really going to let it drop? Like, I'm waiting for, looking for the restroom and making sure that I have an escape route at any time of the day. But I never needed it. Of course, I got up and checked every now and then, but it just wasn't bad. And I never really got really bad cramps to the point where I felt like maybe I shouldn't go to work tomorrow. It was like a breeze. I never needed a heating pack or anything like that. And like I said, the first 2 days were like a medium flow. So that's changing maybe every 5 to 6 hours. That's probably a little bit long, but it wasn't 2 hours like how it usually is. And then the last 3 days, so the first days were medium, and then the next 3 days were very, very light. Like almost like, is it still on? Am I done yet? But no, it was very light for that second set of 3 days. And I was just like, wow, can every period be like this? Can it get any better? And I started to think about it, and I came up with several things that I've done differently over the past 2 to 4 months. Let's get into it. So the first thing I would say that I did differently was I incorporated a lot more fruits and vegetables into my diet. So I used to always buy fruits and vegetables from like the organic store, bring them home, set them on the counter, and then let them go bad because I just didn't have the time to actually try to prepare them, cut them up, peel them, do all the stuff that it takes to really get stuff ready. This last time around, over the past, 2 months, I still let a lot of stuff go to waste, but I found things that were like easier to get into and eat or drink. So, I used my juicer a couple times. I used my blender a few times. Those things are pretty new. And then I also, if I was too lazy, I would actually go somewhere else that had smoothies or juices. I actually visited a vegan restaurant a couple times with my significant other. I bought grapes. So I would go to the grocery store, get a big bag of grapes, put them in the refrigerator at work. And then whenever I was hungry or felt snackish, I would grab a handful of the grapes, rinse them off, and then go back to my office. I also had walnuts, the omega-3 blend. They're like little packs of like walnuts, I think pumpkin seeds, cranberries, little snacks that I would keep with me at work instead of having like fruit snacks and chips or other munchies that are not probably as good for you. Speaking of work, I also had a lot less coffee during the last 3 months. So usually I would go into work and the first thing I would do is head to the coffee maker. It's nothing like starting the day with that very hot cup of aromatic, sugary, creamy blend of coffee. And for some reason, it would just turn my day into like just a really fun, happy time. And over the past 3 months, I actually let go of it. I started drinking more tea, more water. A lot of times it was black tea, but a lot of times it was also green tea. And then I also have this stress blend that's like rose and cinnamon. I've been drinking a lot of that as well. So I think that was another thing. I think the sugar and the milk is, in addition to the caffeine, those are really the culprits in the situation. I also stopped drinking as much. So typically, I guess before maybe even 7 months ago, because it's been a while since I stopped drinking so much, I would drink at least like 3 days a week. So I would go to the liquor store and get a bottle of wine, and then I would have maybe a glass or two 3 days of the week after work. And I was like, this is normal. I'm a working woman. I had a long day. This is how I choose to unwind. It wasn't like I was getting drunk or crap faced or anything like that. So I was like, there's nothing wrong with this. And then some days, I would have happy hour with coworkers or people I used to work with or people I was networking with and have wine or mixed drinks or whatever they were having because it looked interesting. I have to say over the last 2 months, I've maybe had wine 3 times, and it's not like 3 glasses. It's like 1 or 2 glasses. So, and those were all times where I met people that I used to work with for happy hour. I have not bought any alcohol to bring into the house in the last, I almost want to say 6 or 7 months. So that's a change that has been ongoing, but more recently I've just kind of cut it out a whole lot. Let's see, what else? I also started taking B12 and folate drops. I don't know if that helped or not. I think it's supposed to help with your immune system, so I've been taking that. But another thing that I think is important is doing activities that kind of alleviate stress. No, I did not exercise more, but I have spent a lot of time with my significant other right now. And we've just been, spend a lot of time cuddled up, talking, lots of time talking. I don't know how he does it. He's a godsend. But we talk all the time. Whenever we see each other, he's just like always hugging on me and I'm hugging him. I really think that helps alleviate some of the stress that I'm having from the difficult work week instead of, drowning it. I also started going to church more regularly. So for some reason, I did not like going to church regularly. But lately, I don't know if it's because I'm talking to this guy that I'm talking to who's also a Christian. But I've been going to church. And it's a more like formal way to acknowledge God and to make sure that you are, saying prayers and getting into the word. Because I don't know, I kind of just do it when I feel like it, or I usually do it when I feel like it, but now it's more of a structure. Like on Sunday, you're going to read the word, you're going to pray. So bam, there it is. And I do think that those things help with coping with stress or any kind of other negative emotions that you might be dealing with. And if you don't have a significant other, if you have a dog or a cat or babies around you or your parents, there's always something that you can have to kind of just like love on and try to like ease some of that stress that you may be feeling. The last thing that I did was I wore myself out. So even though I wasn't exercising per se, which I probably need to do, we'll see how that impacts the next cycle. I'll maybe start exercising. But I wore myself out. So sometimes before the past 2 months, I would come home from work and just change my clothes and get in bed. And that would be it for the day. Like I'd get in bed, get on YouTube, and then just kind of vegetate and get up the next morning and go to work again. So lately that's been different. So I'll come home and then I'll think of something to do and I'll go right back out, or I'll chill out with my family, go see my significant other, or he'll come see me. I've been thinking about a lot of ideas for what I want to do next in my career, or what kind of independent things I want to do. I picked up a couple of different things to study. I also picked up a part-time job, and I just stay busy. Whatever there is to do, I will find it. I'm never bored. And by the time it's time for me to actually go to bed, I'm out like a light. Like I don't need to lay there for hours on end trying to, get myself in a position where I'm sleepy enough to actually go to bed. So I think that one or several or all of these things have definitely helped to give me a very easy cycle this time around. I will try to incorporate more exercise going forward. What else? I also want to give up eating as much bread, fast food, and meat. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm kind of wedded to like eating good. So we'll see if I can, make some changes going forward. But these things that I just listed are things that I think I can sustain over the next, maybe for the rest of my life. Who knows? But I just wanted to share that with you all. Comment if you've had similar experiences, if you know of any research that backs up what I've shared, or if you want to debunk anything that I've said. Let me know. Let the rest of the people who see this video know. And thank you for watching, and hope to make another video soon.